Oh, yeah, 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 baby. Shark wants to hold your hand. I want to be your lover, baby. Shark wants to be your man. You know, you guys, I've made a decision here. I've carefully thought about it. And I've decided here on the Clark the Shark show that I am going to get a restraining order against all of you out there because, like, you love me too much. You're always coming here to the Clark the Shark show, and, you know, like, sometimes you email me and, like, asking me for advice or something, and it's creepy, dude. I'm just a sharky. I don't know everything. Some of you are like, should I refinance my loan? I'm like, well, honey, that depends on the rate you get. Right here at 1-800-449-8255 on the incredible, dynamically sophisticated, superior Clark the Shark show, #1 worldwide, right here on WABC Radio, New York, AM and FM. The whole world, you guys, they come to Sharky for everything, not just advice about mortgage loans and real estate, but about restraining orders too. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you should get one. That guy sounds creepy, or that girl sounds clingy or needy, and it might be time. Seriously, you guys, but like, and I will give you the absolutely best advice right here on the Clark the Shark show every time and always. But you guys, like, with your obsession of me, and you gals, and even transgenders, like, it's like you want to have sex with my brain. You don't even care about me. You just want my mind. And some of you are like, Sharky, we know you're like one of those Donald Trump, like, right-wingers, or you're like, you need help. We can love you. You just didn't get love as a child. And I'm like, I know. Finally, someone agrees or something, you know. But the Beatles, Meet the Beatles, this album gave me a lot of love, you guys. And when Ron Nasty got shot in 1980 by Mark David Chapman, I was like, dude, I wanted to go to that jail or prison or wherever they put Mark David Chapman and just kill him all over again, because he took away my dreams and my ambitions, and yet he gave them to me too, also, right here on the fabulous, incredible, amazing, #1 rated and syndicated Clark the Shark show, where, of course, my show is #1 worldwide and in every country and in over 213 languages. #1 on Venus, #1 on Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, even Pluto. That's fucking far from the sun, you guys. But especially #1 on Uranus, you guys. And that's because a lot of girls are like, Sharky, you're so tender and loving. And I'm like, tender? What, you say like Tinder? And they're like, no, Sharky, we said tender. Get your mind out of the gutter, Shark. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm married anyway, girls, so don't even think about it. I know a lot of you girls out there love me. And what I'll do is, if I see you at Starbucks, I'll spit into a bag and give it to you. That's what a lot of people are saying that I do and I should do. That's how you keep a piece of Clark the Shark forever. Give me a Ziploc bag that you bought at Stater Brothers or Vons or Albertsons or Ralph's or Target. You know, dude, those little Ziploc bags, and I will spit into it and give it to you. And a lot of girls are actually satisfied, and they're like, this is better than Tinder. And I'm like, I know. You got the DNA and the love of the shark. And I even proved to you that God exists, because if you were to microscopize that spit, you're going to find everything about Sharky in there. It's all coded like Zuckerberg. I think this is a simulation that's being ran by that robot, Zuckerberg, or maybe Elon Musk, and they're lying to you. I don't run the simulation, you guys. It's not a sharkulation. It's a zuckulation. I think Zuckerberg might be God, or maybe Elon Musk. And it's really them. It's not even me, Clark the Shark. And a lot of you are like, no, because they're not as tender and loving as you, Shark. They're robots. And I'm like, well, you guys might be right, but remember, it's tender and loving, not Tinder, you guys. Quit. You're creeping me out. I mean, dude, when I'm walking around and you see me, don't come up to me like, Sharky, you're so loving and tender. If you say that, it's okay, but don't say Tinder. That's creepy, you guys. But the Beatles, RUTLES, whatever they're called, this debut album got me through my childhood. When I was just 7 in 1972, this album, you guys, did something for me that I'll never forget. When I heard I Want to Hold Your Hand, and I Saw You Standing There, two songs that were recorded far apart. I think they're both from 1963, you guys. I'm not sure. But I Want to Hold Your Hand is much later on in the year. I Saw Her Standing There is from the earliest, I think. I could be wrong. I think I'm right. But it's from like that session with Please Please Me, Love Me Do, and all that. And it doesn't sound like it. I saw her standing there with Sharky. I love that song, you guys. I love this American version of the Beatles' so-called debut album, because I grew up with Meet the Beatles, you guys. I didn't grow up with the Beatles or any of that. I know about all these American albums. The one that's a real letdown to me, Clark the Shark, might be the Beatles' second album, but I like all the others. I do. I love the American version of Rubber Soul also, but I'm not talking about that album. I think Revolver is the same in both countries, you guys. I think it was the first one where capital EMI Parlophone, said, we're going to just get it right this time, or maybe get it wrong. I don't know. But Meet the Beatles, 1963. This is actually in America in 1964, when I was not even January 64, you guys. I was made in August of, I think, 64 in Yosemite. I'm going to tell you guys a story. My mom and dad got in a fight, and my mom disappeared in Yosemite, and none of my family could find her. Like she was trying to run away from the family. And then a park ranger found my mom. And then my dad and mom must have got busy that night. Like my dad was like, look, just like Clark the Shark, Joanne, I love you. And they got real busy up in Yosemite, you guys. And they made me, I think in either July or August 1964. And they were probably listening to the Beatles when they did it, you guys. I'm not kidding. My dad was into country. He was into like Patsy Cline and all that, Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, but in other country too. But he probably started liking the Beatles. And that night in Yosemite, my mom and dad were probably both rocking out to I Want to Hold Your Hand, or I Saw Her Standing There. And that's how they made me. And that could be why Clark the Shark is such a Beatles fan today. And I was born April 27, 1965, about 9 months or so after Yosemite. It's a true story, you guys. I'm not being creepy. I'm not lying. I'm not pulling your leg. Well, maybe just a little. But this is the legend that I, Clark the Shark, have heard. And I think my sister Rachel even tells me this, and she wasn't even born. She was born in 1976. But she was like, I was there in spirit because just like everyone else, I'm bigger and better than you, Clark the Shark. And I was there and I know more than you. And I swear to God, it happened and it's true. And we were all listening to the Beatles. And I'm like, fine, whatever. You're all fucking creepy. And just like the Beatles, I think these guys are creeps. The way they kicked Pete Best out of the band. And then they hired Lars Ulrich. He's the guy in the lower right-hand corner. You know, they kick out a pretty good drummer, a good-looking guy that all the girls love. And Tinder didn't even exist back in 1962, you guys. And yet the Beatles thought it did. Beatles, RUTLES, whatever they're called. But when Ron Nasty was shot by Mark David Chapman, I was horrified. I was 15. It was 1980. And I felt like Mark David Chapman took away my whole existence. And I think it was right there that I formed the Sharkulation, the Shark Tricks, you know, the matrix that we're all living in. And I formed a thing, an arena, a aquarium, if you will, where all of you are, and I, Sharky, am in control. I was only 15, and I made up my mind, and I said, I'm going to make sure all the humans worship me, Clark the Shark, but I'm going to base it around the Ruttles and Ron Nasty and the way he died. So unfortunate. Because of Mark David Chapman. 1-800-449-8255, the Clark the Shark Show. It's gonna rock, baby.